Hey everyone, welcome back to the shop. It's the beginning of summer, which means it is wedding season. And so that got me thinking about this week's project where we are going to make a ring bowl. Definitely the perfect gift for a newlywed or someone who likes wearing a lot of rings. So stick around, see how we make it. Alright, so we're going to need two pieces of wood for this project. The first is a bowl blank. And I've got this 5-inch walnut bowl blank that I roughed out a few years ago, and this should work perfect because you not only have that nice dark heartwood, but also some of the nice light sapwood on the outside still. Plus, since the pith ran through this piece, there's actually a hole out the middle, which should add a fun and interesting detail. The second piece of wood we're going to need is a finial blank, and for that I have this piece of wormy maple, which should add some fun and interesting contrast to the nice dark walnut, but should also be nice and big enough for us to have a spot for all your rings to go. And so with our two pieces picked, let's go up to the lathe and start turning. So here we are. We now have our finial in our collet chuck. And the benefit of the collet chuck is that it grabs that tenon and it holds it really strong, but because it's a collet grabbing it on all sides, it doesn't deform the tenon, which is super important because that's the tenon that we're gonna use to glue this finial into the bottom of the bowl. And if it were to get deformed, it wouldn't glue in properly. And so what we're gonna do now is turn this finial. And the big thing with a ring bowl is that your finial is decorative and fun and pointy, but it should have an area for the rings to set so that rings can go all around the bowl, but any special ring can actually just sit on the finial so you always know where it is. And so we're gonna have fun turning a nice decorative finial, something with a nice fun point, some ridges on it as it goes up, but this whole finial will get turned and ready to use. And so with that said, let's jump in turning a finial. finished finial. And this is where I normally start with the ring bowl. I like turning finials, but I have no use for them normally. And so often I'll have one or two of these laying around when I decide to make a ring bowl. And because we use the collet chuck, we have a nice kind of perfect tenon still. And so what we're gonna do is we're gonna mount this bowl up, get the outside turned, and then when we're working on the inside, we're gonna cut a mortise in the bottom that will accept this tenon so that we can have our nice ring bowl. And so with that said, let's get working. We're gonna get this mounted up and start turning. After that last pass, all I did was sand and finish the outside like I do all of my bowls. Turned it around and we now have it in the jaws of the chuck. And what we're gonna do now is basically finish this like any other bowl, but with one exception. Rather than turning the bottom to be nice and flat or have a little hollow in it, what we're gonna do is turn a mortise in the bottom that can grab this tenon. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna make sure we have a nice snug fit, but we're also gonna make sure that the transition between this part of the finial and the bottom makes sense, whether that means flat, a slight hump, or an indent, just whatever it takes to make sure that this finial looks like it belongs in the middle. Again, the woods are going to contrast, but the shape should look like it flows. And so we are going to turn this up and make sure we get a nice tight fit. last step in this process is gluing in the finial. And I use wood glue over CA glue because I want to make sure it is a permanent hold. I don't want to worry about if it's dropped or abused or pushed to its paces that it would break. I want to make sure that it stays together forever. And so what we're going to do is just add a little drop of wood glue and put her in. And with that, the project will be finished. And here we are with our finished piece, and it turned out exactly like I wanted. We have a nice finial in the middle to hold your rings, and then a deep dish around that that allows for more rings or other jewelry if you want it. And then you have the piece itself just talking in its natural beauty. You've got the colors of the walnut and the maple. You have the nice little hole from where the pith was. You just have this kind of nice smooth shape, all kind of working together to make a nice decorative piece that can sit on your table kind of forever, holding all of your jewelry as kind of a workhorse piece, but that still has its own natural beauty. And so if you're interested in this piece or any of my other work, please check out my website. The link is in the description below. If you like the video and you like what you're seeing, please like and subscribe so you can see more. And as always, have a wonderful day. And I've got this small walnut blank, roughly what is this thing? And we flipped it around, grabbed it in the chaws. I like using tight bond rings or more jewelry.